So, hello and welcome to my next chess video. This time I'm gonna make a video for someone, actually. And this person I kind of really like, and she requested this video. So I'm gonna do it. But before I have to put this into the right kind of things. God. Yeah. Okay, this is the chessboard. It's 1 to 8 and A to H. So it starts with white A1. There is a rook, turn. B1, there is a knight, Springer. C1, there is a bishop, the Läufer. D1, there is the queen, die Dame. E1, there is a king, König. Then there is a bishop on F1 and a knight on G1 and a rook on H1. In the second rank there are pawns. In the first move they can go 2 steps, then they can only go 1 step ahead, and yeah, and the knight, for example, these arrows you see there is are the theory moves or the most played moves in that position. So after knight f3 there is, for example, the move d5, and then there are 2 moves here, either c4 or d4, or even b3, but b3 is, I think, kind of inferior to the other 2. But anyway, the knight jumps 1 square ahead and 1 square like this. So from here it reaches this square, that square, that square, that square, that square, that square, that square, and that square. So, and if the knight would be in the corner, it would only reach like 2 squares. So that's one reason why a knight in the middle is better than a knight in the corner or on the rim. And yeah, this is the knight. The bishop can never reach the other color, like the light square bishop from black can never reach a dark square because it's only going like this. So for example to here, and this bishop can never reach a light square because it's on a dark square basically, and it's can also only go like this, diagonal. And yeah, the knight is the only piece which can jump over anything basically. The other pieces, for example, the bishop I can't use in that position because it's just illegal to jump over a pawn, for example. Also the queen and the king and the rook, they can't jump over something. But okay, anyway, I'll do any move. For example that one, so that I can show you the rook. The rook goes straight and like this. And yeah, these are the basic rules how the pieces move. There are some rules which probably a lot of amateurs players don't know, like en passant, im Vorbeigehen, when you walk by, for example. For example, after, yeah, let's just put this position on the board where this is kind of possible. If you go there b4 with white, b2 to b4, then black could take en passant like this. This is only possible in the move which is following straight after. If black waits, for example like this, and white also continues with something, then black cannot take en passant anymore, because it's just possible in the move which is following. It's just possible after you have to do it immediately or you can't do it basically. And yeah, and the other things is castling. Probably a lot of amateur players know this. Castles, the king goes 2 squares, to make a move with black, 2 squares into like any direction. Here you can only castle kingside because the king cannot jump over pieces, and the rook, which would end up on d1, there is still the queen, so you cannot castle queenside in that position, but you could castle kingside. This works like this, and queenside works like that. So the king goes always goes 2 squares aside, and the rook jumps over him. So these are the rules. I hope you understood it. And now I want to show you a game, but I want to put these arrows away. So this game was played between Giuliano Greco from 1625, I think, versus some unknown player. It features the Owens defense, and this is an opening for black which I wouldn't recommend, basically. This is just a terrible opening. I also made a good game against the Owens defense at some point. It's also on the internet. But basically, white played e4, going in the center, because the most important thing in the opening is the center, and to get your pieces out like immediately, like low pieces like knight and bishop before heavy pieces like rook and queen. And this e4 is directed against black playing d5 immediately, and is also preparing the bishop's movement, and it's in the center, and it protects a lot of squares in the center. So this is the main reason why e4 is one of the most played moves in chess. So it's going in the center, it's taking the center immediately, and it's preparing the bishop's movement and the queen's movement. And this is very important for white, basically also for black in chess. Black played b6 in that game, and b6 is the Owens defense. Black is preparing bishop to b7 to get some attack towards the center and to put the bishop on this long diagonal, which is basically in theory a good idea, but it's not going into the center. So white takes the center, of course, because the best position white can get is like the knights here and there, the bishops here and there, the queen developed, the king castled, and the rooks are connected. So this is basically the position you want to get out of the opening. And okay, black played bishop b7 in that game, attacking the e4 pawn. So this has to be defended. This is hypermodern play from black, which was not known back then, but nowadays this is called hypermodern, because classical chess is when the pawns control the center, and modern chess is when the pieces are attacking the center. So white played classical and black kind of modern, but those are just names. You can play classical chess and modern chess and it's fine. But the Owens defense is not that great, because you just completely leave your kingside pieces alone. And black played the move f5 here. If white takes, then black can take on g2, attacking the rook, and you cannot defend the rook anymore. But this is exactly what Greco did, because the other thing in chess, you shouldn't move the f pawn in the opening when you're a beginner, because it weakens this diagonal here, and this is exactly what white pounces on in that position. So black took the pawn on g2, attacking the rook, And now you cannot defend the rook anymore, but here black is basically busted because of this diagonal, and he played queen h5 check. And black played g6. This is the only move. Preventing this, white took it, and then black played knight f6, which is a mate in 3 now, but also after bishop here it's kind of hard to defend, giving the king one more square, but it's also hard to defend. You just check like that, the king has to move, and now you take the knight with a queen, and yeah, basically, okay, you kind of lose the rook here, but it should be better for white, but it's still playable for black. But in that position, Greco's opponent played knight f6, attacking the queen. But Greco just ignored it and captured the pawn anyway, because after knight takes, which is the only move, he played bishop to g6 mate. King has no squares left, and this is mate. So this is the first game I wanted to show you. And the other game is the so-called Legal mate, or Sekadettenmatt, which is also very beautiful. And this is the move. Also, this is first played from a guy, I don't know his name anymore, but I also played this mate at some point in some blitz chess, because my opponent didn't know that trick. So this was more sensible play from both sides, at least in the beginning. This is e4, e5, so the king's pawn opening. Both sides are controlling the center now, and are putting pawns in the center and preparing the bishop's movement and the knight's movement. And now knight to f3, attacking on e5, so this has to be defended. So black played d5, and now bishop c4. This is the Philidor's defense, which is also not to be recommended for black, but well, it's at least playable. And black played bishop to g4, pinning the knight. So if the knight moves, the queen would hang. So white just continued development. Knight to c3, also controlling the center, and black now played the move g3 at g6 and is now losing a pawn. If black defends properly, black will lose a pawn now, because white just plays knight takes e5, attacking the bishop. But okay, the bishop can take the queen, so the queen was taken. But now bishop takes f7, king e7 only move, and now knight to d4 mate. So this is also one nice little trick, the Sekadettenmatt, because it was played on a ship in 1870 or something. So this is also quite nice. And yeah, what can I show you now? Okay, first of all, you want to take the center, and second of all, you want to bring your pieces out, minor pieces before major pieces. So knight, bishop before rook and queen, and bring your king into safety. So yeah, I'm gonna play one game against the Monarch where I probably will lose, because the Monarch is just a great, well, it's not a good engine, but it's better than me, of course. And I try to give some insights about the thinking, so how you should think in chess, because you cannot obviously calculate all the lines, so you have to kind of know stuff and go with the principles. At least not always. You can also calculate a lot of lines if they are forced or if there are only moves, but most of the time you have to go with the principles and you have to make plans. So this is more important than calculation. So because we are not computers, we cannot calculate 20 moves ahead or something. We can only calculate 3 or 4 moves ahead, and the rest we have to do with principles. And yeah, and knowledge. So the Monarch 1.7 played the move d4, which is normal, going in the center and preparing this bishop movement and yeah, stuff like this. So I play knight f6 because I want to develop pieces. He played c4. So now if I go d5 immediately, oh wait, if I go d5 immediately, he takes, I take with the knight, and then he plays e4 and he got the huge center. So I don't do this. I go e6, preparing d5 so I can take with the pawn and control e4 one more time. And also the bishop can move now. So now he played g3. Also possible were the moves knight c3 and knight f3, which are basically the most played moves in that position. But this is now the Catalan opening, which I don't really understand that much. But I'll go with d5. So now knight f3 is coming. So if I take this pawn, then yeah, it's a flank pawn for a center. It's a flank pawn, and I lose my center pawn. This pawn will become a c pawn, and it's not in the center anymore. And also, you shouldn't take this in theory, but it's still a pawn, so I have to calculate it if I can take it here. I think I can take it, but long term, it's not good for me. So it's a possible move in that position, but I'll go with bishop e7. Just normal development. And now I'm gonna castle. He's castling too. And now I go with c6. Just protecting my center one more time. I made some Slav setup with this triangle here. And my opponent Monarch 1.7 went with this bishop. Fianchetto, so it's very hard for me to crack open his king side. But anyway, my plan here is to move e5, break in the center. But he controls e5 with the d-pawn and with the knight, and I have no control over this square anymore. So what I'm thinking now is rook to e8, followed by bishop to f8, followed by h6, knight d7, and e5 to liberate my bishop here. This is the other thing. But this is kind of a long term plan. What is my opponent planning in that position? Probably wants to go e4 at some point, but cannot go e4 right now. If I would take here, then he could go e4, but this is... I think this is not so bad for me. Okay, he gets the center, but... and probably some kind of attack, but I'll grab this. Although if I protect this pawn then with b5, then this pawn on c6 becomes really weak, and this bishop is also carrying that square, and if the knight jumps here then he's twice on my c6 pawn, so I will do that. Okay, queen b3, so he obviously wants to recapture with the queen after I take on c4. And I will take on c4 now, attacking the queen, with the idea knight b6, attacking the queen, and preparing knight d5 at some point. Knight d5 now runs into e4, so I kind of don't like this. And what is my knight doing on b6? So it's probably not good. I really want to go e5 at some point, but... okay, I go here e4, this was expected. And now... yeah, the problem is what am I doing with that bishop? I go c5 now to break in the center and maybe get the queen. He cannot take because his queen would hang. This is a pin, relative pin. Absolute pin is when if this would be the king. Relative pin is if it's the queen. And now I go for the move c5. c5. I'm not sure about it. c5, yeah, probably it should be the best move in the position. Bishop here, he takes there, bishop there. Okay, I now really want to get my pieces into the game. If he goes d5 now, I go bishop c6 anyway. Okay, he goes there. He goes there. His idea is probably after I go knight e5. Knight d5, he's gonna go c4. Then I go there to b6. And then d5 takes. Bishop here because his queen would still hang. It's the only thing I have to do that. Okay, now knight here. Threatening mate and threatening the knight, so this is not pretty. I have to go g6 now. Okay. Oh wow, he wants to jump into d6. I have to eliminate this guy now. And now I go knight bishop c6, defending my knight. The problem is if I go knight f6, he goes bishop g5, pinning my knight, and then he goes queen f. He cannot go queen f6. Okay, he eliminates my bishop, and oh no, he wants to go. Oh my god, he wants to go c5, protecting his strong pass pawn. I cannot even go there, and he has the bishop pair, so it's probably not good, this position for me. I could go here actually, or even there. If he takes, I take the queen. He takes the rook, I take with the rook, and I can go to f5, so this is probably on, and I can go to c6. So because I used the pin, he couldn't take it because then the queen would hang. And now I start with a, oh wow. Okay, rook here preparing e5. He prevents e5 with f5. This is radical stuff. Okay, I have really deep problems on this diagonal. Really deep problems. But currently I'm not lost. At least I don't think so. Can I go e5? He takes it, I take it. With the knight, he takes it with the rook, I take it with the rook, he takes it with the bishop, so I cannot go e5. But I can prepare it with f6. In that position, f6 is kind of possible. I don't know if e5 is possible because I played f6 and then there is queen d5 check. And then he can take this pawn anyway. So I cannot go e5. I have to go... I don't want to go there actually. King g7 just looks like terrible stuff to me, because I'm going into this pin. He has a better position, probably even winning, but I'm not sure. I'll go king g7 anyway. Prepare e5, f5. Knight jumping in there. No. I have a good blockade here. What is this? Rook, queen here, rook there. No, I don't take it with the rook. Ah, now he is on the pawn like millions of times. Oh my god. Knight, rook, rook, bishop, rook, rook, queen. So he's 4 times on the pawn. I'm 3 times on the pawn. So I will probably lose that pawn now. And if I go king here, then he starts some kind of attack. And I cannot move the pawn because it's pinned. So I can't really protect it any further. I could try knight here. But then he takes with the bishop check. It looks busted. But I'll continue this because I have no moves actually. What should I play here? I can just wait to lose the pawn, but otherwise I don't have moves. So let's just play a6. He will grab the pawn now. Knight takes, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, queen takes. And now I'm in this endgame, queen endgame, where I'm completely busted. He could have also gone here, which is good, and continue pushing that pawn. But I can't do anything anyway, so I have no moves. A5, rook here, a4. Oh, this is check, and now he's winning the a pawn anyway. So Okay, let's see. Not analyze, but I want to know the opening name. Catalan. Yeah, Catalanish. Yeah. Let's see how long I played Theory. This is always a thing which is interesting to me. Most of the time I lose against Monarch 1.7 because it's not one of the best engines, but it's still a good engine. So, okay. D4, knight f6, c4, e6, g3, d5, and stuff like this. We already have seen this. c6, knight c3, queen b3 takes, queen takes. Okay, this was not... I also thought about b6. Actually, I don't. Actually, I thought about taking here in b5 before the queen went here. So my idea was also to take this pawn at some point. Okay, knight d5. Yeah, of course this comes. This is what I wanted to prevent. But yeah, knight e5 is what I wanted to prevent, because now I cannot go b5 to protect this pawn because he just takes here. He's twice on this c6 pawn. This is what I saw during the game, and if I take with the knight, he takes like this, attacking the rook, attacking the pawn, and even if I try to protect the pawn, he takes it because the knight also covers this, and now he's also winning the c4 pawn. So this didn't make any sense to me, so that's why I didn't capture the pawn in that position. Instead I went knight here, and now queen b6. Why b3? Why b6? Why is this good? Okay, c takes, c takes. Okay, you can get the bishop out like this or like that. This was my problem piece the whole game. It's often the case when you're black that this light square bishop is a problem. Let's see how I fare with white. Let's see how I fare with white. So I play e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. Bishop c4, so we have the Italian game. There is now a gambit line with b5, b4, but I don't go into that. I just go c3, preparing d4, and I go d4 now. He grabs it, and now I go d5. This is all theory now. Attacking the knight, he is attacking my bishop, so I'm going here, he goes there. This has all been seen before many times. Many times, but now I don't really know what to do anymore. Bishop b6, but this is a very old line in that position. So knight c3, and now castling out. We're following an Aronian game here versus Aronian, no, not Aronian, Kayakin versus Caruana, I think, or something. So Grandmaster game. h6, he's gonna go bishop h5. No, he grabs that pawn. Wow, there must be something wrong with that move. Probably because the bishop is just no pre, so I kind of take the bishop now. Oh, he takes like that, eliminating the defender of the bishop. Yeah, I mishandled that. Yeah, of course. You have to take the knight first and then go h3. Because now I'm just down a pawn with a complete mess of a position. I can take both knights. It doesn't help me. This was completely stupid. Let's see how long I played theory there. Yeah, bishop g4, and now, yeah, this was the move played in this Karyakin game. And only after that and f5 you capture the knight, and then at some point you go h3, but f5 wasn't the move played in this game. In that game, h3 was played, and then h6 and something. It was a very interesting game from both players, but anyway, yeah, I hope you learned something out of this, and just wanted to say sorry what I wrote before. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Ciao.